Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Casting Seeds. I'm Savannah, your holistic health practitioner and host.
And I'm Jeremiah, your co-host.
Woohoo! And you're listening to the only holistic health podcast that uses God's singular truth to give you individualized discernment.
Only one?
The only one. The only one that I know of.
I know, same. I have to do some research and see where the Christian podcast levels are at and everything like that. Interesting to see.
A lot of podcasts that were just initially Christian have actually switched over to holistic health. That Alex Clark.
Yeah.
She switched over to her Culture Apothecary podcast. And there's two other ones, but that was the biggest one. And at first it was somewhat annoying.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people who live for Christ, they had really great niches. And I've even read in a lot of the comments of some of their podcasts, they're like, I miss you talking about this, because a lot of them don't have expertise in this at all.
They have experts come on.
Yeah, which is great. You know, I think that's awesome. But ultimately, at the end of the day, a lot of it is still very much
on the surface.
No, not necessarily on the surface, but a lot of it is for shock value.
Okay.
So it seems like very extremist point of view. And it doesn't feel, they do feel educational, some of them, right? And some aspects of different episodes, but it's very much like shock value and not just how can I just genuinely and generally apply this to my life?
Yeah.
And what does God actually say about these things that we're learning?
That's where we're different.
Yeah. And that's the
part.
Who
you doing this for?
Yeah. That's the part that bothers me the most, is that most of them are Christian or even claim Christianity, because I don't know them intimately. I can't say.
Yeah.
But then they don't actually help people understand the scripture behind them or the reason or purpose of why God created these things.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about glucose and, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I can say it. Digestional diabetes. I don't even think I said it right.
It's fine. We all know what you're saying.
I should know. The joke is that I've never been able to say this, and I don't know why.
Let's see. I'm going to try to say it. Digestible
diabetes.
Oh, what is it?
You know what? Is there a way to get
Google can pronounce it.
It can?
Yeah.
How do you
just
do that?
Go to Translate.
Oh, Google Translate?
Go to Google Translate.
Okay. I have that. I just downloaded it today. For what is it?
The farmer's market?
No.
Oh.
But that is funny. I downloaded it because I was
oh yeah,
doing that invitation in Spanish. Okay, one second. Digestional
diabetes. There you go.
So funny. Okay.
So many people are like, this is so easy to say. Come on.
I know. Oh, okay.
Turn it up. Let's hear it.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Digestive diabetes.
Digestive diabetes.
No, but it's not saying it right. It's digestional.
Uh-huh.
Anyway. Yes, if we say digestive diabetes, I can say that all day.
That's easy.
Let's just do that.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not make this complicated.
It's the Spanish version.
It means the same thing.
It's whatever. I hope so. Either way, we're talking. I had to do this obviously because by your 27th week you have to take the test for glucose monitoring, which a lot of women here know, and I'm really thankful that I was able to opt out. And as most people know on here, I have struggled with candida on and off. That's what caused our miscarriages.
Yeah.
And knowing that I had a flare up, I was really scared to go into the doctor. He was like, your blood pressure is much higher than normal, because I didn't have Jeremiah with me, and normally someone goes with me to see my OB. And I was like, oh, well, I think I could have it because I have PCOS, but I just don't want to take the test because it's like a direct shot of sugar into your intestines, which will flare up my candida worse.
Yeah.
So he did give me a prescription, which we did talk about last week, and that's been wonderful. And I've actually been able to now give Jeremiah half of that prescription, so both of us can make sure neither of us have candida. And fast forward, when you decide to opt out of the digestional, is that
Digestive diabetes?
Yeah, sure. The digestive diabetes, they make you do a finger prick 4 times a day after you eat. So an hour after you eat. So I just wanted to go through that process. This has nothing to do, or I'm sorry, I should say this is not just about pregnancy. Anyone who has questions with glucose levels or what glucose is in your blood and why it's important, and this is different from insulin, and I want to make that clear. So that's something that we're going to talk about today is glucose levels in the blood and why higher glucose at consistent rates, how it does affect you. And this is what causes me to have PCOS and a bunch of other issues like just general inflammation in my body.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah's on the podcast today because he's even seen a difference from when I had steady glucose levels versus spiked glucose levels and how that's affected me in my pregnancy, but also in our day to day. And Jeremiah annoyingly has a wonderful glucose levels. He can eat as many sweets or treats and he doesn't even break 100. Which is so annoying. So annoying. And I'm like struggling to stay beneath 95.
We should test that. Like, I'm going to eat some chocolate and then maybe not today.
An hour later.
And an hour later, we'll test it and see what levels I'm at.
Yeah.
I think the highest you have me on is what,
84.
84? And my resting was 72. 72.
Oh, no. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It was crazy low. And I actually was a little concerned. But Jeremiah and I, by doing this, and I actually think it's really good for couples to do this in general, even if I wish that we did something like this when we first got married, because I used to get really frustrated with Jeremiah that he would snack all throughout the day and continuously be hungry. And then I'd notice like, oh my gosh, you're like eating us out of house and home. But then we realized that his glucose, like I didn't know until now, his glucose is just consistently lower. So he needs to eat like way more protein for him to be able to be satiated. Otherwise he's going to crave sugar, which I already knew that generally, but having the actual evidence to back that up was really nice. Cause now he's like, oh yeah, I do need to eat more protein.
And it makes sense. Like when I was bodybuilding, like I was putting away 240 grams of protein and now I'm probably putting away about 120.
Yeah. That's a big difference.
It's a huge difference.
Well, so I want to say too, as a woman who is scared of needles, I'm not scared of blood, but Jeremiah and I are both scared of needles.
Yeah.
I did get a little kit and it's not painful at all.
No, it's a smaller needle.
Mm-hmm. And we can attach it to this week's episode, the exact one that I got off of Amazon.
100% recommend.
Yeah. And
I don't like needles.
Yeah. Jeremiah freaks out more than I do. He like
tattoos. What? No.
Yeah. He freaks out a lot. So, I've been doing the glucose testing for the past few days and Jeremiah's been trying it with me just so that I could see his. And it's been a huge blessing to help us see what is actually helping our body with inflammation and not helping. And here's the thing, if I'm at a higher glucose that I shouldn't be, it actually causes preeclampsia and it can cause a lot of issues for the baby in the 3rd trimester when we're going to give birth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's really important for my glucose levels to stay low, just making it more about pregnancy a little bit. And in general, for people who are not pregnant, men or women, this can lead to type 2 diabetes, which by the way, you can heal. If it's just a glucose level spike and it's a consistent spike, you can heal it. Same with PCOS. It's just getting your glucose levels to be under 100. I mean, the prime, if you could, is anywhere between 77 and 85. But getting those levels lower for at least 40 days without having an extreme spike.
Gotcha.
So one spike can throw you off for 2 to 3 days. And that's why
that's crazy.
That's why I wanted to talk about this today, because you guys, yesterday I was doing so good. And then Jeremiah and I made these protein balls and Jeremiah bought these like little chocolate chippies for them. I had just a few and then I was like, oh my gosh, this was so sweet. And then I kind of let it go. And I was like, you know what? If I had some chocolate chips, I should eat something like more savory to help counterbalance. So then I had protein chips. So chips that are literally made out of chicken and guacamole. But I finished it with cherries, which are higher in sugar just naturally.
Yeah.
And this morning I woke up and my blood sugar was 107. And the morning before it was 93. Just from eating cherries before bed, which is crazy beans.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And because of that, and then today I went to a farmer's market with a friend, and I tried to avoid eating things, but I was like, oh, I'll just have like a little bit of fruit. But it was the first thing that I ate. I have not been able to get under 100 all day because I started off my day spiking my blood sugar. So I'm going to get into how to avoid these things and why it's important. But Jeremiah, before we do, what did you experience with me yesterday when we did all the right stuff versus today when I was thrown off? Like, what was the difference in my energy and all that stuff?
Yeah. Yesterday, you were great to hang out with. Today, a little cranky. No, I'm kidding. Totally kidding.
I was like, I was.
No, yesterday you had a lot more energy. You felt like you moved more. You were definitely less swollen.
Do I look more swollen today?
A little bit.
Okay. Where?
Yeah. In your cheeks.
Okay.
Yeah. And yesterday, I think you definitely, oh, this is interesting. Your bladder. You didn't have peeing issues yesterday at all.
Yeah. I had more peeing urgency today.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I want to say your muscles were not as tight yesterday also.
Yeah, that's true.
And today you're a little,
You're
restless.
I also didn't sleep as well last night.
Yeah, you were restless. You have cramps in your like lower legs and stuff like that. Your glutes. You're sore more today.
Mm-hmm.
You know the urgency to pee, nausea.
What Jeremiah's trying to avoid is I literally peed my pants.
I'm not trying to avoid it. I didn't. It's just not necessary.
That happened today. So.
Yeah. But I definitely, I'm honestly think that might be linked to this.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more bloated you are,
the more inflammation,
the less you will be able to feel your urgent, like the need to pee as often because it doesn't push on your nerves and your back and everything like that. So, yeah, that's interesting. This is fun. But definitely, I think you need to keep your glucose levels low.
Yeah.
Constantly. And I think that actually will help so many other pregnant women if they just paid attention to that.
Yeah, even earlier on in their pregnancy.
Yeah.
I agree. And it's interesting because I feel like if this is something we paid attention to more before we got pregnant, which I think we didn't because we were just a high fiber, high protein diet when we were killing the candida.
Yeah, we were focused on killing candida and then honestly just keeping the baby alive.
Yeah.
Throughout the early pregnancy stages.
Yeah. Then when we went there, it's just hard to think of all that. So
then we were like, we need to rest a little because this was.
Yeah. It's also good to give grace, like we can't think and worry about all those things all at once.
Yeah.
But that's why it's good for people to kind of get familiar with these things beforehand and know your body before you get pregnant, or if you struggle with inflammation or weight gain or all those things.
Yeah.
If you struggle with poor gut health, brain fog, if you check out your glucose levels, you'll see literally what in your bloodstream is saying, like, we're immediately inflamed from the food that you're eating.
Yeah.
And I do want to also give some sort of because some people are like, okay, I'm going to get those glucose monitors, and they stick them to the back of their arm.
Oh.
Here's the main thing with that. Even that glucose goddess girl, I can't remember her name, the French girl, she even makes it really clear that that is measuring a different type of serum in your body and in your blood. It's not getting the exact sugar glucose from your blood right away than it would, because it's not measuring your blood like when you prick yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different type of serum. So it's not as accurate as doing the finger prick 4 times a day after an hour after meals. So I just want people to know that, because people will spend a lot of money on those and it's not measuring as
Yeah.
accurately. And this is much cheaper.
Yeah. I noticed for myself, like when I'm eating, like for instance, right now, I just ate like, I don't know, probably a quarter pound of beef.
Uh-huh.
You know how you get like chills on, like your face gets itchy when you have too much sugar?
Yeah.
I get that with protein. So like I can definitely feel my glucose go up from protein.
Oh,
But
like
if I have bread and all this other stuff, I don't get any of that.
like blood flowing itch?
Yeah.
Like a good itch?
Mhm.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel itchy and gross, like almost inflamed after eating sugar. I almost feel
Interesting.
like I'm like allergic to it. That's how I feel.
Our
But
bodies are so different.
I know. Well, that's why I want to get into just the kind of the facts about glucose really quickly. And then I also want to get into the aspects of how it can be hard, like you and I.
Daily life.
Yeah, we're going to be eating very differently soon. And even right now, we have to eat very differently, as we both realized. And that can be hard, especially if you have a bigger family or you're cooking for your husband and things like that. So
You remember in the early stages of our marriage, you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna cook one meal. We're both gonna eat it, no matter what I cook."
yeah.
And now you're gonna be like, "Actually, I can't do that."
Yeah. I'm annoyed thinking about it. No, it's prioritizing our health over convenience.
Yeah.
And that's something that just has to happen, and that's okay.
Will glucose affect breastfeeding?
Yeah.
Oh, really? It does.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Because your blood brings all the essential nutrients to your body, right? So when you think about food or drinks going into your body, the first step of your digestive system is through your mouth. Then it goes through where you masticate your food. You should be chewing it. It goes through your esophagus into your stomach, where you should have higher digestive enzymes.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it goes from into your small intestine, where then it's absorbed through the walls of the small intestine, and that's where it goes into the bloodstream.
Okay.
And then what's discarded goes into the colon and then goes out through fecal matter.
Okay.
The rest of it, half of the discard in the bloodstream will get brought to the kidneys. That's where the kidneys filter your blood and then create urine. Where the other parts it will pick up toxins in your blood and go to the liver, and that's how that gets filtered. And then the rest of your body uses the food. It will bring nutrients to where it's needed. That's what your blood does. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if your blood has high inflammation in it, then it's not going to be able to deliver those essential vitamins and nutrients as efficiently.
And will that hinder how much milk you can produce?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. That
Wow.
hinders everything in your body.
Huh.
It also causes mastitis. That's one of the highest causes of mastitis.
What's mastitis?
Mastitis is when people get inflammation in their breasts and then they can't feed their babies.
Oh.
People think that it's from clogged ducts, but you get them because they're inflamed.
Okay.
So having a lower glycemic index actually improves all of your body's wellness, let alone just for breastfeeding or pregnancy. And this is for men
Fantastic.
and women. So let's talk about glucose, okay, in general.
Mm-hmm.
Glucose is the concentration in the blood that comes that comes in a blood sample,
Mm-hmm.
but the measurement reflects how much glucose, sugar, is currently in your blood, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So this does your insulin levels help balance out the amount of sugar or glucose in your blood. So that's why people get them kind of mixed up. So if you have insulin resistance, it's kind of similar to somebody who first drinks a first cup of coffee. And when you drink the coffee, you're like, whoa, you're like shaky. You can only have one cup of coffee because it hits you so hard.
And then you crash.
Yeah. And then after, well, that doesn't matter as much, but yes, sugar does that. But after a year, if we're specifically talking about resistance, that same person can have 3 cups of coffee.
Yeah. Build a tolerance.
Yes. So that's what insulin resistance is.
Okay.
It's you're overproducing insulin
Mm-hmm.
because your body's constantly preparing for higher amounts of sugar,
Okay.
which means you're going to store more fat. You're going to be in higher inflammation in your body, and it just slowly deteriorates the amount of vitamins and nutrients that actually go to your organs and your brain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
That's like the very simplified
Yeah.
version of it. So how you measure it, like when you go prick your finger and then you have it read the blood, you have milligrams per deciliter.
Okay.
That's what that stands for. It's mg over dl. So milligrams is the unit or mass of the amount of blood. And then dl, the deciliter, is 1 deciliter to 100 milliliters of how much blood you have. So how many milligrams of glucose are in 100 millimeters of blood? That's what it's measuring.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at general common healthy glucose ranges, right? There is the doctors, I'd say like the Western medicine version of what's considered healthy. And then there's a more holistic version. The Western medicine version is, I'd say, a little more lenient. The holistic version is a little more strict.
Mm-hmm.
So the Western version, if you do fasting, no food for 8 hours, you should be in between a 70 and a 99 of mg over dl.
Fasting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you wake up in the morning,
That's what I was.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was my first day.
Yeah.
The holistic version of that is kind of similar. It's 65 between 85.
Lower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything holistic is going to be lower. They're going to be more strict. So that's technically the goal. I would want to be around 85. That's what I would prefer.
Okay.
That's a huge goal for me because having PCOS, I have higher insulin, which means my blood sugar spikes a lot faster than other people. Okay, so then an hour after eating, okay, you want anything less, and this is allopathic medicine, anything less than 140.
So you eat food, wait an hour.
Yeah.
Test. Less than 140.
Less than 140, you're good.
Should you take a test before you eat and then eat hour later test?
No.
No.
Just a test after eating because
Okay.
that's how you're going to see how high you have your baseline for the day, what you woke up with.
Okay.
You wake up, you don't drink, you don't eat, just roll over in bed, take your test. If it's under 99 compared to allopathic medicine, then you're fine.
Cool.
But let me get through these
Yeah.
so that it's not confusing for people.
I'll interrupt you.
Yeah. Sorry. So for allopathic medicine, if you're under 140, then you're not considered a diabetic.
Okay.
For holistic medicine, if you're under 120, you're not considered a diabetic. Okay. For allopathic medicine, if you are fasting, so if you wake up in the morning and you're over 126, so like without eating or drinking anything, you're considered a diabetic. For holistic medicine, if you're fasting and you wake up and you have anything over 100, you're considered a diabetic.
Wow.
Significant difference. And then you're severely diabetic, like emergency status type 2, if you're over 200 for allopathic medicine. That's around more 140 to 150 for holistic.
You want to know something interesting?
What?
My dad's resting is at about 170.
For sugar glucose or for heart rate? Blood
Glucose.
pressure.
I think it was glucose.
Yeah, he needs to lay off the sugar.
Crazy.
Sorry, Dad. So that's just like an interesting comparison for people to think about. I do think normally people think of allopathic medicine being more strict, but in my experience, everything holistic, like when you consider doing a certain type of detox or cleanse, or even when I spoke to my doctor and I said like, hey, I need to kill candida. Do you recommend a specific diet? He was like, just kind of lay off sugar. But when you talk to me, if you were doing a candida cleanse with me, I would say you can't have sugar. You can't have glucose. You can't have carbohydrates. And that includes in all fruits and all vegetables. You can't have dairy until a certain point. Like it is very, very, very strict. And I think that's a common misconception that people have with holistic medicine. Holistic medicine tends to be much more strict.
Yeah, because you're getting the pills and stuff like that, or like the drink that you can drink for your intestines to kill candida versus you're using medicinal herbs and stuff. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it's good to understand too that a spike, any type of glucose spike, comes from a significant amount of carbs, carbohydrates, or sugars in a meal. So that's why you test an hour later because that's when most of it has been digested and put into the bloodstream. So gastric emptying is 3 calories worth of food every minute. Okay. When you are losing food from your stomach into your small intestine, that's only 3 calories worth of food every minute.
Interesting. So if you ate 30 calories, it takes 10 minutes to digest all that food.
Yes. That's
Okay.
Great
Wow.
math. So that's why moving after you eat, like going for a walk, helps you digest it faster, but also, helps you digest it slower because your burning activity, so your food digestion slows down. And then, so same thing, if you have veggies to start, if you have your meal, like if you had a bowl of salad first, and then you had your protein and then your fats and then your carbs last. If you think about eating like your stomach as a bowl, what you did is you just lined the bottom of your stomach with a bunch of hard to digest fibers. So it actually is taking more calories to digest your food than it is for you to store it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what you do is you line your gut first with high fiber veggies. Then you bring in protein and fats, which is also harder for you to digest. And then at the very top, when you have like a little bit of room left, that's when you have your carbs or your sugars and that's the thing. Then it doesn't instantly hit your bloodstream. Everything comes in much more slowly. So it's kind of like a net that slowly helps you digest your food. And when you do that, everything goes through your bloodstream much more slowly. And then you have higher vitamins and minerals and nutrients going to your bloodstream first, being utilized first in your body. And then you have a much smaller spike. So that's also a good way to kind of be able to balance your digestive juices, but also lowering any blood sugar spikes. So if people don't eat their high fiber fruits and veggies first, they really can mess up, even just like weight loss in general, if that's something that you want, which does naturally occur more if you eat foods in the proper order.
Yeah.
And also some great advice too that I learned from a few different people was, and also that glucose girl also said this as well.
Yeah.
If you're like having a sandwich, like what do you do if your meal is a sandwich? You can cheat, or like if you're having a soup with all this different stuff or pasta with chicken, like how do you do that? And a great cheat is, again, just make sure you eat like a big leafy green salad beforehand. Just line your gut. And a smoothie doesn't count because you're masticating it. You want your body to have to chew it and digest it.
Yeah, you want to create a net
exactly.
so it catches all the proteins and everything.
Yeah.
I was just curious. This is me on my own brain. A hamburger.
Yeah.
350 calories. Take a guess how long that will take to digest.
I don't know. How long?
19 and a half hours.
To fully digest.
You really want to be picky on what you eat. And how long it'll last in your body.
Yeah.
Like eating that donut, 900 calories. Was that worth it? That takes you 3 days to digest.
That's crazy to think about it that way. That's crazy to think about it. Well, so yeah, going back to what we talked about earlier, remember when I said just having fruit and stuff in the morning or even at night the other night, that's affected my entire day.
Yeah, you're still digesting.
Yeah. The sugar.
Get out of here. I don't want to hear this.
I'm still digesting the sugar from the cherries that I ate.
Yeah.
To the next day. Even though like it may not be like physically in my gut, my body is still using that energy.
Yeah. And then you're going to eat the next meal and that's just going to be on top of it because you're still digesting the previous meal.
Yep. So that's why starting your day with a super high amount of protein, fiber, yes, you should have a little bit, but especially protein and fats so that you feel more full to your next meal.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, that will take a few weeks. At first, you're going to be like starving all the time because you're used to having that instantaneous carb to give you that spike of feeling full longer.
Yeah.
So it will take a few weeks to feel that way. Even we did when we did the Candida diet. And even yesterday, we were like starving by dinner time. Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. 3 hours went by and I'm like, I need to eat.
Yeah, we were so hungry. So it does take a little bit for your body to adjust back to it, but that's how God created us. We were made to be like that and eat like that for thousands of years. And even things like honey, even though honey is super healthy and wonderful for you, there's a reason why it wasn't a staple that people ate it all the time. It was something
Yeah.
precious, and it was something very, very, very special. It has great medicinal properties. That's not even a question, but using it consistently would make people sick.
Yeah.
And there's a
Yeah.
reason. So that's why I wanted to talk about the ghrelin hormone. So that tells you when you're hungry. And that hack of eating just your fibrous foods first slows down the hormone
Okay.
for
Why?
about 2 hours, 2 to 5 hours extra.
So it'll keep you full longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just doing it
Interesting.
once will keep you full longer for an extra 2 to 5 hours, depending on your body type.
Popeye had it right. Eat your spinach.
But that's why.
Yeah.
It's because it's the hormone that will spike really high once it's burned through your blood really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then your body will go, whoa, 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 I need more of this because I need instant energy, which sugar and carbohydrates don't necessarily give you energy because you crash really hard, a lot like coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee, I have a video on that on my Instagram. Coffee actually blocks your adenosine neuroreceptors.
Puts it to sleep.
Yeah, which your adenosine neuroreceptors tell you, I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't actually give you energy. It's just saying, shh, you're not tired.
Yeah.
It's like putting a rug over an elephant in the room.
Yeah. I don't know about that one.
Well, have you heard the elephant in the room?
Yeah.
Like when
but
people ignore it?
You sweep things under the rug. I don't know about the elephant under the rug.
Okay, whatever. It's the same concept. So those are just some really good hacks for people to understand. If you have 85 or lower, again, you're doing really, really, really well. And maybe you don't have to worry about this as much, right? And maybe you are someone who doesn't struggle with those insulin spikes and sugar spikes as much. But 1 in 5 women in the US have PCOS.
Wow.
And that's because, ready for this, most mothers had no idea in the 80s and 90s when they were giving birth, even the 70s, that they had digestional. Is that it?
Yeah.
Digestional diabetes.
There you go.
Did I just say it?
You said it.
Gestational. That's what it is. Gestational diabetes. Oh my. Oh, that just felt like a weight came off of my chest. Gestational. I don't know where that came from, but thank you, Lord. So, and the people like that really, really struggle because their parents had really high gestational diabetes. So to make sure that our daughter doesn't struggle with this, I really do have to make sure that I don't eat those things during the 3rd trimester.
Okay.
Crazy, right?
That is. I'm just curious. Like, so how does this affect somebody that has a really high metabolism?
Higher metabolism is different. Your metabolism is how fast your body digests your food, right?
Yeah. So if you could burn off those calories faster than normal people, then do you get these insulin spikes faster than others, or do they harm you in other ways? Or
Well, having a higher metabolism is normally known as like a good thing because then people can kind of burn through their food faster. But okay, so let's say like person A has a higher metabolism.
Yeah.
Their glucose spikes, but their body uses it quickly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like if you're running, use it immediately.
Yeah. Their blood sugar returns to normal quickly.
Gotcha.
Person B, the glucose spikes, but it stays high longer. This is literally the difference between you and I.
Okay.
Their body takes longer to burn off or they store it.
Yeah.
So the short-term indicator after there's a short-term indicator and a long-term indicator. The long-term process is kind of like their metabolic rate.
Mm-hmm.
So the short-term indicator is glucose. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And then the long-term indicator is metabolic rate.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So if
And metabolic rate is different to body type and blood type.
yes. Yeah. So when you eat your blood, glucose rises, your body responds by using it or storing it.
Mm-hmm.
Your metabolism determines how fast your body uses this.
Okay. That makes sense.
High metabolism burns through glucose faster.
Yeah.
A low metabolism processes it more slowly. And people try to find like a bunch of tricks to make their metabolism burn faster. The main trick is honestly higher fiber.
Really?
Yeah, higher fiber diet. And you can get that, I know a lot of people love, going carnivore or whatever. But again, it just depends on your body type. Like I do really well on a higher fruits and veggies diet. You do a little bit better with a higher protein diet.
Yeah.
So
I can do my greens, but it makes me so gassy. But then again, I don't really like my greens cooked, and that's probably why I get gassy.
yeah, you have to, and that's the thing. You have to figure out how these hacks work best for you and your body. There isn't a one way fits all. And that's why I love the Western A. Price Foundation, because they're very much about using your genealogical background and everything that you are as an individual and going back to what in the past 8 generations am I made up of metabolically? What does my DNA respond best to?
Yeah.
For me, my body does really well with a high fiber, more Mediterranean fish, lighter protein diet. Lately, it's been a little different. I love protein, like meat and fish, like red meat,
Yeah.
but that's because I'm pregnant.
I burn through fish so fast.
Yeah, and I crave a lot of organ meats where you don't as much.
No.
But I crave it more because my gut is still healing a lot more, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I'm more vitamin and mineral deficient because I've had gut issues for so long. So I crave those things that my body needs. So again, it's seeing and understanding the difference between you and I, and understanding that there's a reason why. So getting to the next part of the episode where Jeremiah and I both just checked the time. We were like, how long has this been, making sure we're not rambling? The next part I feel like is something that people don't talk about often, which is like the practicality of it.
So talk about it.
Well, because think about it, like our kids could be very different from you and I, or a mixture of you and I. Especially if people adopt, that can be harder if you're hosting, right? But for the day to day, if you're just thinking about you and your family, because that's going to be you mostly, deep down, do I wish Jeremiah and I could both just eat all of the same things and be good?
Yes, she does.
100%.
Does Jeremiah? No, because it means more for me.
Liar. You love it when I eat like
No, I love it when you
treats with
eat
you.
everything that I eat. It is so fun.
Yeah, it makes food like fun and adventurous. But at the end of the day, we can still have those things like once every few weeks. It's just more right now we have to, and you have to do this too at home. You have to take a step back and ask the Lord, like, what season am I in? And right now we're in the season of, especially me, I have to sacrifice even just eating fruit. Like I love fruit and I can't have as much to make sure that our baby is healthier. Or if I do have it, I have to have it in a way where I'm eating it with fiber or eating it at the very end of meals after a lot of fiber and after a lot of protein.
Yeah.
Which then by the end of it, you're almost too full for it, which is a good thing. But I mean, it's summertime and it's like in my mind, that's fruit season. Like this is what I've been waiting for all year. And I get lots of vitamins and minerals and nutrients from local fruit and like I was at a farmer's market today, but Jeremiah doesn't care as much about fruit, which is so funny, but he could eat a ton of it if he wanted to.
Yeah.
So.
And I never feel full on fruit. And I don't feel the sugar either.
It's not satiating for you.
No.
So it's nice because Jeremiah's blood sugar levels are normal. He doesn't, and I don't necessarily crave those things, but at certain times of the year, I definitely do because in my mind, this is the season to eat it, right? So we the best we've ever been is when we were on the Candida cleanse, and we both felt so good when we were eating higher fiber and higher protein.
It was easier though because you weren't pregnant and you were like, I'm okay with chicken.
Yeah.
Now you're not okay with chicken.
Yeah. Now, well, not that I'm not okay with chicken. I just have to have it in things or meat in things.
Yeah.
And that's what's hard right now. I used to be what's called an ingredient eater. I could just eat like a bowl of lettuce and be fine, or a chicken leg, and not just one of those, but you know what I mean? Like I could eat things individually.
I got to pluck the chicken off the bone for her.
Yeah.
If I make chicken wings or chicken legs.
And that's what's frustrating for me right now is if I have those types of things, I need it like in a taco.
Yeah.
Or I need it in a salad. I have to have it mixed with stuff.
That's the way I am with tomatoes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. Like, it's also okay to understand that not everything's going to be perfect, but you also have to be able to lovingly hold each other accountable. And I think that's like the biggest thing that I would say. You and your husband should be able to sit down and write out goals, like long-term healthcare goals or food goals for your family. Like, let's say your food goal is, I don't know, like I want to buy more local and from farmers markets, which can be a little bit more expensive, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have to plan out then a financial goal together, but then also establish like, okay, well, how can we make this happen within our budget that's appropriate?
Mm-hmm.
And also that's still satiating and sustainable for us health-wise. Not sustainable to the planet, not sustainable to anything else, but you and your husband, so that you can still do things like tithe at church and give and outpour into your community without being like, oh, sorry, we just spent $800 on our groceries, so we can't hang out or love on you. That's redonkulous. No doing that.
Yeah, it's all boxes of cereal and stuff.
Yeah. Not always. But do you know what I mean? Like you have to do it in that way. And I think it takes time to get there. And Jeremiah and I have definitely been trying to figure that out with our food and our budget because California is so expensive. But
yeah, we're exploring different stores for proteins, and then we're exploring stores for veggies and just finding the right price point with organic to meet our lifestyle.
Exactly. And sometimes we don't always eat 100% organic because we can't afford it.
Yeah, we took a hit on our meat.
Yeah.
You know? It's okay though.
Yeah, we can't afford the half cow.
Actually, we
this
did.
Year.
Yeah, we're going to, what is it? Something in Fork.
Oh, Wild Fork.
Wild Fork. Totally recommend them. They have some pieces of meat that are really affordable, but you got to know how to cook it, and have to know how to cut it.
Yeah, and you also have to understand too, like buying bigger pieces and in bulk, how to be able to deal with that versus just like slabs of steak or everything prepared for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. When it comes to your diet and your metabolic rate, your glucose, all those things, you need to learn how to be able to get creative with these things. Otherwise, you'll always be dependent, I guess, on whatever the grocery store offers you, and that's much more expensive.
What is the word? I'm forgetting the word. It's on the tip of my tongue. Where you always buy from the store at convenience. Consumer.
Yeah.
So you have to change from the mindset of consumer to who am I doing this for, and realize like you're doing this for the Lord. What are you doing for the Lord? You're taking care of your body. And how are you going to take care of your body? By not being a consumer. And I understand like some people are in a season of convenience and they need that. You know, you might be, I don't know, you can't make it to the store, and so you're taking on whatever people can bring you or whatever's going on in your life. But you really got to think about who you're doing this for and how you're doing it, because we only get one body in this world.
Yeah. And we have to use it to be able to serve the Lord, which made me think of the 1 Corinthians 6:12 verse. All things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful.
Mm-hmm. And how would you say that translates to this?
Well, so, you know, like just because it's lawful, like I'm able to go to the grocery store and buy certain things and do certain things, doesn't mean it's necessarily helpful for our health or for our pockets.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Right.
And then on top of that, I don't know what Bible verse it is, but if you have the wisdom of it and God's calling you to do something with it and you choose not to do with it, it's a direct sin towards God.
Oh, like not obeying the conviction.
Yeah. Gosh, I wish I remember that Bible verse.
I know
But
that's
yeah.
accurate, but I don't know. Well, also too, Proverbs 25, 27 through 28. This is something I just had to look up. It's not good to eat too much honey.
What are you
Did I
looking
not
at
say
me
that
for?
earlier? No,
Yes.
I'm just saying
Oh, okay.
like
I thought you were like looking at me like
I
I'm
didn't-
trying not to eat your honey.
I'm just
honey.
It's not good to eat too much honey, and it's not good to seek honors for yourself. A person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls.
Yeah. Don't be an overconsumer also.
Well, also too, the last fruit of the Holy Spirit is self-control.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people don't often think about self-control when it comes to, what's a good way of putting this? When it comes to not just diet, because I do think people think about it in that way, but sustainability. That was the word.
Yeah,
If if you want to sustain the lifestyle that God's calling you to do, that means you have to have the self-control and obedience to do it.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but like in the early 90s to late 2000s, our meals got progressively bigger in America.
Yeah.
And
Bigger
now
and less valuable in nutrition.
And now they're reducing in size and they're getting more nutrition out of it. And it's just it's funny to me how we are all changing as a community and how we're going back to the way it's said in the Bible to consume food.
Yeah, even honey. You can't have too much of it. He literally just said not too much sugar.
Honey and ginger, though, taste delicious.
Romans 12:1-2 is something else I wanted to mention. It says, therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice,
Yeah.
holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship.
I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah.
That's everything right there.
Our bodies are what we do with them, right?
Yeah.
Including what we consume. That's a part of our worship. So I'm also a huge proprietor of like praying over your food and over the things that you put into your body.
Yeah.
There have been scientific studies that have proven that the way that you speak to your food, which I know that sounds so weird, but literally praying and speaking over your food, like positively, and asking the Lord to have it nourish you, can actually bless your body. It actually raises the nutrient count in your body. And some people say it's a placebo effect. Some people say it's a biblical effect. I don't know. But it even happens with water. They've done studies where they put in plants, they put negative words on them. They didn't even say it. They just put it on them. And the water would like freeze more sharply and more jaggedy. And the ones that you did like love or God or, you know, Christ, they were, they actually had a higher mineral content in them.
If you don't believe us, go watch Mythbusters and see the music and plant episode, because they play heavy metal, and then in the other room they're playing what is it? I think like opera or something, and the plants in the opera room flourish. All the plants in the metal room died. Yeah.
So yeah, again, back to like the frequencies episodes that we've had here too, and the difference between frequencies.
Yeah.
And
that'd be actually cool if they took that and redid it and turned it into frequencies instead of music.
Well,
and see if that
kind of the same.
I know, but
like specific frequencies. Yeah.
Be cool.
So I just want, this episode obviously is conducive to what Jeremiah and I are going through right now, but it's something that I wish that we knew more about when we first got married, to understand our bodies and also just kind of create peace around food in our lives.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we do raise our children to be okay and comfortable with like doing the finger prick and have it not be a scary thing.
Yeah.
And have them understand and see how their body responds and be interested in it, then they'll be excited to know how their body works and how to nourish it better.
We're going to have little health freaks running around.
I hope so. I hope not annoying ones, but
they're going to be holding us accountable. They're like, Mom, you know you shouldn't eat that Snicker bar.
I know. Oh my gosh, that sounds good.
I know.
I love Snickers. I haven't had one forever, but like
it's been about 2 months. I bought one and split it with you.
Oh, that's before that. We hadn't had one in like a year.
Yeah.
So I just have been craving sugar and chocolate lately probably because I'm just constantly thinking about sugar and glucose. So anywho, I hope this was helpful to you guys, and I hope that it was done in a very practical way where it made sense about metabolism and the difference between that and glucose and insulin, and I think that was it.
Yeah.
But also lifestyle. And I just wanted to say thank you for letting me constantly share things that I'm learning. And I do have a lot of interviews coming up too that I'm filming, especially during my maternity leave. So get ready for that. And I think Jeremiah had one thing that you wanted to say before.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you, as a husband, how can I be better at helping you with your glucose?
That's a good question.
I know my body doesn't care.
I know. Want to swap? I don't know. I think just being there for me when I'm sad, or especially like pregnancy hormones,
Yeah.
If I'm sad that I can't have something or can't do something because it's frustrating because either I'm craving it or I want it, just like being understanding.
Okay.
I don't think you don't do that, but
Yeah.
I think that would be nice to know more. Like, man, yeah, that does suck. I'm sorry. And then like giving a hug afterwards. That's one thing I do wish you would do more, is like when you comfort me, to actually physically comfort me more.
Okay. Yeah, I get that.
Because I don't want that from most people, but I do want it from you.
Oh. Sounds good. I can do that.
Yeah.
I
know that doesn't sound...
I'm just curious. Sorry, go. I'm sorry. Go.
No, I was just saying, I know that doesn't sound like the most practical thing, but it just makes me feel more safe and protected and loved on by you.
100%. I was going to ask, does it hurt you that I eat sweets, or like we made those protein balls? Does it bother you that I can eat it? No,
that doesn't hurt me.
Okay.
When you have to take the medicine though to kill, like make sure that I'm
gonna have to cut all that out for a little while, for 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to be diligent as to when you're taking that.
Okay.
But that's the only time it hurts me, when we pay money to specifically take care of an infection or things in our gut.
We have to fully commit.
Yeah. And if you don't do that, and I'm taking all this time and extra money to make sure that you are getting better, and then you're counteracting it with your food, that's when it hurts.
Okay. I'll be more considerate.
But you haven't.
No, I know I do it. I know I do it.
You haven't been doing it, so.
It's been a while since I've been on any of them, but I know when we were doing the Candida stuff, like I knew I had some sweets.
Yeah.
I made myself some tea and I added some sugar because I just wanted a little bit of sweet.
Yeah, but it hurt me because then if we made love or did anything, you could be giving it back to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it hurt my feelings.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'm glad you guys got to hear that little therapy session. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And always please leave a review so that our podcast can continue to grow.
And if you're on Spotify now has comments again.
Ooh.
So we can actually have conversations on Spotify. If
we can?
Yeah.
Love
so
that.
If you guys want to comment, shoot it there. They were doing it like 2 years ago, and then they removed it, and now it's back.
Oh, well, that's when we started, was 2 years ago. So
I know.
We've never been able to experience this.
Yeah.
If there's any way that we can help you guys, or if you have more questions on glucose or sugar, or you want more in-depth information, let us know. We can make another episode. Until then, we're praying for you all. And as always,
keep casting seeds.
We hope you enjoyed learning how to cultivate God's creation from a biblical perspective. Holistic health is to prioritize whole person wellness through Christ. Like and comment on what topics we're casting seeds or casting pearls.
If you found this information provided useful, subscribe to our podcast for future updates, leave a review to help us improve, and share this episode. We would like to remind you before we leave that perfect health cannot be attained in this world.
Only spiritual salvation through sanctification and repentance to God and turning away from sin will give you a perfect body in the kingdom come. Nourish yourself in the Word, in prayer, and in biblical fellowship daily.
Thank you for joining us today, and a special thank you to our listeners for making this podcast possible.
always praying.
Keep casting seeds.